to a new order, so we are between orders. What are we able to keep on the positive side from the old order to bring into a new world order?
The post-Cold War era has come to a close. We're at the start of something new. We have the capacity to shape what that looks like. And at the heart of it will be many of the core principles and core institutions of the existing order, adapted for the challenges that we face today.
They're going to adapt them, you see. I remember, like we talked about in the opening of the show, I remember when I first got involved in politics and people would talk about the New World Order, and I always kind of gave them the, oh gosh, here we go again. And now it's totally true. It's all true. These people talk about it themselves now. Joining me now is somebody who wrote a freaking book about it that I hope you've read by now. My friend Carol Roth. She wrote the book, many good ones now, by the way, but You Will Own Nothing. You want to know these people's plans for you? Go buy her book. Carol? The New World Order. Well, I guess it probably begs the question, Carol, what was wrong in their minds with the old world order?
I love the fact that the New World Order is now being outed as a non-conspiracy, Jesse, because I've been telling people this for a couple years, and of course, everyone's starting to look at me sideways. But the reality is, if you are a student of history, you know that the world order shifts on a pretty regular basis, usually because the person or the entities who are in the middle of the world order do stupid things in order to cause it to change. We in the United States have been at the center of what I call the financial world order, which sort of begets the world order for probably about 80 years now, getting close to that. We hold the world's reserve currency. We are the major financial and other superpower. But just like the British before us and the Dutch before them, these things go through cycles, and these countries take on lots of debt, and their militaries weaken, and you start getting infighting, and all of a sudden, that strength starts to turn into weakness, and other orders emerge. And so this is something that the elite who have studied this have known has been going on for quite some time. And they have talked about it openly, even before the World Economic Forum. Joe Biden talked about it in front of the Business Roundtable of March of, I think it was 2022. And so we know the New World Order is changing. When you ask the question about what was wrong with the other one and why are they trying to adapt it, is that this scares the heck out of people who have lots of money and power. Because when things shift, they don't know what that shift is going to look like. So they have sort of a choose your own adventure, right? Two paths. One path is that they sit back and they go, well, I really hope this works out for me, and I still hope I have lots of money and power. Or they go, oh no, stuff is changing. We have to do everything we can to hold on to that power. It is basic human nature. It is basic greed and power grubbing. And so that's what's going on. They see the shift is happening. And so now they want to control it and shape it. And it used to be behind closed doors. Now it's out in the open. It wasn't my book, by the way. Could have been onto this about a year ago, but now you can play catch up now.
Carol, okay, let's focus on this for a minute. You mentioned things are shifting, and everyone can feel it, even if they can't really put it into words. Things are shifting, but why are they shifting? You only shift if things weren't going the way you wanted. Why are things shifting?
Well, because we have lots of debt, and debt begets desperation. It begets our country doing stupid things like, weakening our military and not holding the reserve currency stable for the good of not only the country domestically, but also the international world. When there is chaos in that sort of a global currency, other countries that depend on things like food and commodities that are priced in dollars go, we can't do this anymore. And so they want to look for alternative structures. And so it's just sort of the regular cycle. Certainly, we could turn this around. We could have a Congress that was serious and decided that they want to change the path that we're on, the fiscal foundation, from completely crumbling. But we're seeing that neither party has the stomach to do that. So, that is what happens, is that things shift. And it's happened time and time again throughout history. This is the same playbook, the same story, the same trilogy that we've seen before. It doesn't mean that the U.S. is going to go away entirely, just like it didn't mean that the British goes away entirely. It just means that we are no longer going to be solely in that pole position. The scary part from my standpoint, as opposed to, where the US was ready to step into place for the British, is that there is no bastion of free enterprise and, great ideas and protections of individual rights and freedoms that's ready to step into the place, as the US continues to lose power and credibility in the world. And that's really the frightening part. There's a lot of bad actors out there, and they're looking to take advantage of this. So this is a real serious thing that's going on. It's something that everybody needs to be aware of, and where it's coming from in every direction in order to best protect yourself.
Carol, there's a piece in the Wall Street Journal about forever renters. And you've talked about this a lot. Obviously, you talk about it in your book. You and I have talked about this on the air. But can you explain it for people? Because it is a little confusing. Why don't these people, the tech billionaires, the senators, why don't these people want me to own a home? How does me owning a home affect them or their power at all? I'm just hanging out in my home in my boxers.
Well, owning a home is the way that families create wealth, and it also impacts your sovereignty and freedom. So across the United States, the largest asset on most households' balance sheet is the home. It's the way traditionally people have been able to create wealth. But from my perspective, it's even more important to that in terms of freedom, because if you own your house, if you are, as they would say in Seinfeld, master of your own domain, although they probably meant it in a slightly different way, but if you're a master of your own domain, you can do whatever you want, pretty much within the confines of your home. If you are renting from somebody on Wall Street, a Wall Street landlord or somebody else, not only are they taking that money and that equity that you would be making in your home and is being transferred to them, so they're making more money, from you deciding that you want this relaxed and chill lifestyle where you don't own anything. But then it becomes easier for those who are looking to implement other barriers to have that affected through these landlords. Things like these gas stove bans, or even if they wanted to, ban ammunition and they couldn't get that done through Congress, well, now all of a sudden your landlord could say, oh, you can't have this in your home if you're renting for us. So it's one of those things that sounds great in theory. It sounds like a relaxed lifestyle, but you're giving up a wealth creation opportunity. And most of the people who are doing this, they're not taking that money and saying, oh, well, I'm going to spend less on rent and take the rest of that money and put it in some other kind of investment. So they're losing out on that, and then they're losing out on the sovereignty piece. But for the people who are on the receiving end of this, it's great for them to be able to control the population, and they're just extracting more and consolidating more of the wealth.